heard the phrase, haven't you? Famous last words. It's something we say just before something goes terribly wrong that we expected things to go okay, doesn't it? But we talk today about famous last words. It's actually famous last words. The last words of people just before they died, and they were quite famous. I want to see whether you can match up the famous last words to the famous people. So first of all, we've got, I've offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality that it should have. Who do you think said that? Who do you think said that, sir? One of these people here. I'll tell you who we've got. We've got Spike Milligan, Joan Crawford, the famous playwright Wilson Misner. We've got Karl Marx, Pistol Pete Markovich, who was a basketball player, and Vincent van Gogh. So who said that? I'll tell you, it was, surprisingly, Vincent van Gogh. Now we know he did some amazing artwork, don't we? So how on earth could he say something like that? There's no hope for the rest of us if he said that, is there? What about this one? Why should I talk to you? I've just been talking to your boss. Who do you think said that? It was actually this fella here called Wilson Misner. His most famous quote is actually, be kind to people on the way up, because you'll meet them on the way down. You've all heard that, haven't you? When he actually said that, why should I talk to you? I've just been talking to your boss. Now what caused him to say that? Well, basically, a priest came in to offer him the last rites, and he said, look, I've just been missing out the middleman and going straight to God. I don't need you, which is a nice way of looking at it, isn't it? What about this? Who said this? I feel great. I feel great. Alright, he can't have felt great because he died shortly afterwards. These were his last words. It was actually Pistol Pete Maravich, okay? He collapsed on the basketball court and said, I feel great, but then died just a few moments later. What about this one? Now this is somebody quite the opposite. He actually said, no, I'm not feeling so great. I told you I was ill. Who said that? Any ideas? It was, of course, Spike Milligan. I told you I was ill. It's actually not something he said. It's actually his gravestone. And then we got a couple left. Last words are for fools who haven't said enough. This was someone who was on his deathbed, and somebody came, he said many great things in his lifetime. Somebody came along and said, right, come on, what's your last words? Stood there with a notepad, and he's like, last words? Last words are for fools who haven't said enough. The fellow was like, well, that's good, I'll write that down. And the guy went, oh, here we go. It was, of course, Karl Marx. Now, what about this one? Don't you dare ask God to help me. Who do you think said that? Don't you dare ask God to help me. It was Joan Crawford. It was Joan Crawford. Basically, she was on a deathbed and she noticed her maidservant praying for her. Her maidservant was a Christian praying for her. And she said, look, I don't you dare ask God to help me. I've not looked to sought God in my life. I'm not needing him in my life. I don't need him on my death. And that was her attitude. How sad. And sometimes we can be so hard-hearted towards God that even when we desperately need him, when we're at death's door, we still don't turn to him. What a shame. What a shame. So if you're one of those people who kept saying no to God, and today you're walking past and you say no to him, don't say no anymore. Listen to him one last time. And I've got one more quote on here, and it's this one, the last one. It is finished. Now who do you think said it is finished? You'll notice I've not got any more pictures, so that's because we don't know what this person looked like with any certainty. It was, of course, the Lord Jesus. These were his famous last words. The last thing he said, it is finished. And then he gave up his life on the cross for you and for me. Now, I wonder, who can say that? When is it finished? You know, to a Jehovah's Witness, is it ever finished for them? To a Muslim, is it ever finished for them? You know, they're constantly trying to build up their list of good works, trying to be as good as they possibly can to get to heaven. But when is it finished for them? When can they say, do you know what, I've done enough good works now, I can relax, I'm going to heaven? So I tell you when it's finished for the Christian, the moment he believes in the Lord Jesus Christ. The moment you believe in what Jesus did on the cross and put your trust in him, then it's finished. It's a done deal, it's sealed for time and eternity. Do you know why? Because your salvation isn't based on what you do. It's based on what the Lord Jesus has already done. When he said those words on the cross and said it is finished, what he meant was he's paid for all your sin and all my sin, so that now I can be forgiven and I can go to heaven. And that can be your hope too, people of Southport, today. You can have that security of salvation, knowing that the Lord Jesus, because he's died for you, has paid for your sin, and it is finished. It's completed. The debt of your sin has been paid in full, and you can go to heaven. Now, if that's something that you'd like to partake in today, please come and take some literature off us. We'd love to chat to you. Thank you very much.